auction items, grab some snacks. We'll be fairly informal, and so if you need to get up and move about the room or you have some pressing questions throughout the presentation, we're certainly glad to field any questions. I'm Jenny Rickel, and I think I've met a lot of you. I am the board president of GWATA. GWATA is a weird word. It kind of sounds like, sometimes they tell me it sounds like a funny drink or some tropical animal or something, but it really stands for Greater Wenatchee Area Technology Alliance. So that's why we say GWATA, because it's a big mouthful. And over the years, we've been a little bit more focused on North Central Washington rather than just Wenatchee, but we got our roots here. This organization started in 1999. The reason it started originally was a lot of people were talking about that F word, the fiber is the F word, okay? Sorry, you're not supposed to do that in front of children, but fiber. And everybody wondered, what the heck are we gonna do with this infrastructure that the public utility districts are putting in place? And I think a lot of you have learned to love and hate the internet all at once, right? It's kind of a great thing, but sometimes it can also be a distraction. But overall, we think it's a really important part of our region, and that it is really facilitating some nice economic growth for our area. One of the things that GWATA does, and I'm not going to give a long commercial about it, our website is up here behind me, and we also are on Facebook. But what we've done for about these 13 years that we've been in existence is we have an award ceremony in the spring. And we always give out an Entrepreneur of the Year and a tech-savvy business. And in about the last 3 years, we've added in Future Technology Leaders of Tomorrow. And that is how we've incorporated kids. We have had winners at middle school age and high school age. Everything from they've created their own movies to they've created apps. Last year we had a couple of fellows from Wenatchee High School who actually have apps in the iTunes store and are making money. So that was really exciting. And we have some other kids that work in what are called science, technology, and engineering and math programs, STEM. I don't know if some of you have heard of that. So that is really exciting for GWATA to be able to recognize and support people that are being innovative in our area. So that is how GWATA got to know Nancy. Nancy Tedeschi will be talking tonight. And some of you have, we just had a little clip going on as we got started tonight, and she's going to talk more personally about her story. But GWATA recognized Nancy as Entrepreneur of the Year last year because the selection committee felt that she had really stood out in a group of really excellent people, but she had been an inventor and she has been growing a business that she'll tell us about. So GWATA is excited to support a anti-bullying program that leverages technology in a positive way. I think technology can sometimes get sometimes a negative connotation, but this is a very positive use of technology, and so we're excited. Our mission is very simply connecting technology and people in North Central Washington. So we feel like we're in the right place to be a conduit to do that. And I do just want to point out quickly, I think most of you have probably been to this facility before, but this is a really important asset to our region as well. The Port of Chelan County, in collaboration with the ESD and the Wenatchee Valley College and the PUD, about probably, 10 years ago now, was able to make this building happen. And we're very fortunate to be able to have different events here and be able to use it. So to have parties and cool stuff like that. So I remember the funnest one that would probably be interesting to this audience was they had a big Xbox tournament here one winter, and so a lot of the community came out to do that. So that was fun. So I am going to turn it over. There's also materials around about GWATA, so of course if anybody has any questions, wants to nominate somebody for that award program I'm talking about, that's going to be March 26th of 2013, so we definitely want to start talking about nominations. So I'm going to have Lisa Bradshaw come up here, and Lisa is the author of this nifty book here. A lot of you have maybe seen this. It's probably been around for about 5 years. Lisa had her own talk show here locally and is an author, and she's going to tell the story about her and Nancy hooking up on this important initiative. So here we go.
Thanks. Thank you very much. So we want to thank everyone who came. Nancy and I drove to Seattle yesterday and got a hotel and found our way to King 5 News, did the show this morning, drove back, ran around town, did everything we needed to do to get here tonight. So I know it's a lot to get out on a school night, especially election night, taking a little break from the polls, so that's maybe a good thing. So anyway, thank you for coming, and we're really excited to see kids because we hope you go back to school tomorrow and tell all your friends about this really cool anti-bullying program. And we're going to pick schools in this community, so we'll get to all that this evening. But it's how this came about in terms of the Better Actions Now program. Nancy and I met through my radio show. I had a radio show for almost 5 years on KPQ. It was called Life with Lisa. And generally, someone would come and be on my show, and they'd get there about 10 minutes before the show. And then they'd be on the show, and then they'd be out the door while the next guest was coming in. And one of my colleagues had said, you need to talk to Nancy Tedeschi. She won Walmart's Get on the Shelf Award for her Snap It Screw. And what I know about media is even with my little show in this little town, my friend had to remind me 2 or 3 times to give her a call. And I thought, oh, if she won an award and she's in Walmart, she's got people I'm going to have to call, and her people are going to have to call me, and it's going to take forever, and I just don't have time for that right now. But I called, and she called me back, which is nice and refreshing. And so I asked her, I said, we think we're supposed to meet, so if you would please come at 12:30 instead of 10 to 1, I think we should chat a little bit before. I just had a feeling we needed to meet and actually connect and have a conversation. So she did, and we really hit it off. And I really think, I try not to get in the way of the way things are supposed to go in life, because I was doing the show, trucking along, and I was ready to make a change but wasn't sure what that change would be. And Nancy was talking to me about her business, and I had some marketing and PR experience, and she was wanting to launch this anti-bully campaign, but she wasn't really sure what that campaign would look like. And would I help her? And I had launched something called the Don't Wait Project when I wrote my book, Big Shoes, last year. And the Don't Wait Project was about getting people to not wait to do the important things in life, but also the fun and exciting things. And so I told her, I can help you, but it has to be somehow under the umbrella of the Don't Wait Project because I can't shift my focus. And I have 3 kids, and I have to be home by 3 o'clock every day. So she said, so we met for lunch, and she'd read the book by then. And when we sat down for lunch, she handed me a check to the Don't Wait Project for $500 and said, I know I'm supposed to help you with this. And what I learned that day, and what I've learned every day working with her, is that she's the person that is refreshing in that she does everything she says she's going to do. And I mean that from a financial point of view, an emotional point of view, a spiritual point of view, educational point of view, all of these things. So we really hit it off, and I was at a crossroads that I didn't see coming, and my show was about to get canceled. And I didn't go to work that Friday because I don't go to work on Fridays. And over the weekend, I heard about 8 people or something like that in our building being let go, and all the afternoon programming was being canceled and syndicated. And I figured out over the weekend that the reason my boss called and asked me to be there on Monday was probably because I was getting canned too. So on the way back from our family weekend, actually I left early on Monday morning to go take my son to the airport, and his flight was late, so I was actually late getting to work to get fired. So I called Nancy on the way, and I said, I have a feeling I'm getting canned. I have a feeling the show's getting canceled. And she said, great, let's get started. And actually, by the time we were very excited on the phone and talking about it, and by the time I got to work, I think if they hadn't canceled my show, I would have quit that day because I was just ready to move on and get rolling. So it evolved. Nancy has a colleague in New York who's done this amazing work with kids and did a bully film. And the thing that he did was go in and do this documentary film and was able to reach kids. And they're following those kids, and those kids are having zero or very little bullying problems in their schools and in their classrooms because of this program. And he was thinking, how can I can't do a documentary every week in a school, but how can I bring this in And so this is how the program has developed since then. And we'll get more into that when we show you the video. But I just wanted to introduce Nancy. You know, she only spends 6 months of the year here. She put on a pair of jeans the other day for the first time in a year and a half. It's getting a little too cold for her. She'll be heading to Florida. So I'll be here taking care of the Washington side of things, and she'll be taking care of the Florida side of things. And we'll be working together on this. And she comes back and forth, and she flies more than anyone I know. So the other part that I want to say, too, is that, you know, it takes a lot to get a nonprofit started. Last year when I started the Don't Wait Project, businesses in this community were very generous, and so were individuals. And they donated a lot of money to get things started. There's a lot that goes into making sure you do everything right from a business point of view, from a presentation point of view, and how things look and how you brand things. And so Nancy has spent all of her own money to get this off the ground. And not just in Wenatchee, but in New York and Florida and Texas and other places that we're trying to get to. So she walks the walk, talks the talk, and all those things that implies. So I encourage you to, in getting to know this program, getting to know Nancy, getting to know myself, getting to know the people who are involved in this, because if you have some kind of idea of what you want changed in your school or what you want your children to be able to experience in an educational environment, and we can do anything to help, you also see that a lot of your administrators from the schools in our community are here to show their support. So it's communication, and it's inviting parents to participate and visit the website and tell them about this when you are out tomorrow. And Facebook is a powerful tool as well. So if you like what you hear tonight, please be sure and share it. So I'll introduce Nancy Tedeschi. She's going to come up and talk about a little bit about how she came to wanting to fight bullying in our schools and what she's been through personally. So here she is.
Put that big, beautiful picture up of me, will you?
Oh, sure.
Thanks.
It's right here.
That lovely girl is me. I used to look at that picture and cry. But now I look and smile because God has put me in a place, I believe, that was meant to be from the day that I look like that. I had a lot of difficulty in life with challenges educationally wise. When I believe I was 8. My sister's here. Was I 8? 8 or 9? Yeah, in this picture. And, you know, I was the kid. I was the kid that got bullied. I was the one that was in the back of the room being made fun of all the time. And I was bullied so bad that I actually got lost within myself. I had not a lot of friends. I didn't know how to be a friend, let alone have a friend, because I was just so withdrawn. And it makes me smile now because the path that I've chosen to go on and the things that I'm doing with my life now, I can see were planned from the day that I look like that. And that's, you know, it's a long road to get where I am, but I'm here, and I'm so happy to be able to give it back to the people in our community and to the children that have to go through or are going through things like I went through. This is, you know, this problem is for us to fix. I mean, we need to take the power away from the kids that are doing this. And this program that we have is working across the country. That's normal. I've talked here before. It's God saying, go, girl! No. But, I forgot what I was saying. But the program that we've set up, really does engage the kids. Because what we're doing is we're going into the schools and we are teaching the kids through technology how to actually make a video. But in the process, the video right now that we are making is an anti-bullying video. So we go into the classrooms, the kids actually write the scripts with their teachers, and we're in there helping them, guiding them, and then we go in with the cameras after they write their script, and we show them, and they actually shoot the video, they act in it, they do the sound, they do the camera, they do the action, the role, the directing, and everything. And when it's done, we actually edit it down to PSAs and put them out on the television. So now the kids get to see what they've done, and they hear their voice. It's amazing what you hear from them when you're ready to give them the voice. A lot of times we try to give our voice to them, and it doesn't work that way. If we're not listening to what they say, we're not going to fix the problem. And being able to let them do it, it's like some of the stuff they come up with, you go, oh my goodness, you know, I would have never thought of that. And it comes from their heart, and that's a place that we need it to come from. And Lisa has this, I love it when she says this. She says when you take the show, when you take the audience away, then they don't have a show. So when you put these kids together and they don't give the bullies the power, then we're not going to have bullies anymore. Because the only reason they bully is because it bothers people. But if we take it so we twist it and we don't allow them to do that, the kids don't allow them, not us. The kids have to be able to stand up together. And, you know, the project has launched in New York. We have several schools lined up. We actually got a call from Australia. They want us to come to Australia to do the program in July. And the program is just in the initial stages. And Wenatchee is where we're going to really launch it. We've launched it in New York, my friend Mike. But this is like the first big launch program we're going to have is in Wenatchee, Washington. And I am proud to be a part of that. I can't wait to get started. We've got such support from the administrators at the schools. It's just been such a thrilling experience for me. And, you know, I don't know who knows me in here, but I am a very successful inventor. I actually invented a product that's all over the world, actually. I was just in Japan 2 weeks ago. And I always say, it's just a screw. I invented a screw, really. And, you know, and I have no passion for that. I mean, I have none at all. I mean, I tell people, I hate this screw. I do. And I, you know, some of my friends go, that's not a very, you know, good thing to say. But, you know, I say it in fun because it's allowed me to do what I want to do in life. And it's like it's always been the plan. I had to get in tune with the plan, but that screw has enabled me to do what I love. And I would do this work for free every day for the rest of my life. To know that I'm changing the lives of people, that they don't have to go through what I went through. I mean, we have this kid here, he's from the high school in Quincy, senior. You know what he did when he was in 10th grade? They started a program there, a hotline for suicide. I mean, that was his idea. You know, we got to get the kids involved. I mean, he has calls coming in. That's Austin, right? And, you know, so let's figure out a way as a community to get the kids involved. Let them have their voice. Let them talk. Don't shut them down. And, you know, hopefully we can make this program a huge success.
Do you want to see the video?
Yeah, we have a video that we're going to show that is, it has kids who've participated in the program, and then it also has footage, behind-the-scene footage, which when we do the program here in our local schools, we're going to choose 3 schools from each district, 3 classrooms from each district. We're going to focus on elementary, middle or junior high, and then high school. So the message will be different depending on the age, of course. Obviously, some of the older kids are dealing with cyberbullying and those types of things. But what this is a group of 4th graders in New York, and they had the idea, and they focused on a playground. Your class, if it's chosen, you might want to be on the school bus. The adults, the older kids might want to be at a Starbucks because they're talking about cyberbullying. It really is going to be up to the creativity and the choice of the children. So this is just an example, and when it's all done, the kids will and the parents will have the behind-the-scene footage, the bloopers, the video down to 60 seconds. It'll be our responsibility to distribute that PSA to television stations, and then you'll get to have a premiere and get to see this with your classmates and your administrators and friends and teachers. So,
and this is the launch school here, Lake Avenue. Oops.
Sorry.
Go right here. Go ahead. Go with it.
This video also
Yeah, it's
helped
okay.
people know what's filming about, and also helped people stop being bullies, and helped people who are being bullied stand up for themselves, and also people who aren't being bullied stand up for other people.
I've seen that nobody has been bullying. Everybody has been very nice to each other.
You don't just sit there and watch it. You can stand up and make a difference.
What was it like working with Mr. Mike?
Working with Mr. Mike was a lot of fun.
And every once in a while when he was teaching, there'd be like a joke. And so it made the learning, it would keep you aware.
How's that look? The first shot we have to get is our thrower, right? Camera, DPs. Where is our camera going to be looking at in front? Our wide for the thrower, and then we're going to cover it with a close in a moment. Oh, there it is. Okay. So
We need people at the screen, so
it's going to be curved. So when we say action, when we say rolling, you just go.
from us we want.
Actors ready? Actor ready? Okay.
Camera ready?
Good?
Yep. Sound ready? Yeah.
All right. Now we can say
Slate it.
nope.
Action.
Nope.
Camera rolling.
Yes.
Camera rolling. Slate it. Action.
Okay, so now we let that dry a
Stage
little bit.
blood.
Keep your knee bent.
Now that looks like I'm bleeding to death. Cut. Sound ready? Sound ready. Camera rolling. Rolling. Slate. Scene 1. Scene 1. A, B, take 2. Action. Such a baby. I don't can stop whining. Look how bad he's faking.
I saw how you pushed him down and grabbed the ball. Are you okay? Let's go get our adult.
Without these limps on, we can actually play.
I don't want to play a game where someone might get hurt. You don't want to get hurt? Yeah, we just want to play.
Yeah.
So that's just an example. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Liz.
what I wanted to say was that was our launch school, and they've already booked us, every school in the district, for this year. So this is our second year with them, and the whole school district booked us in their school. So that was pretty neat.
And one of the things we were talking about when we were showing this video to another group was that the boy sitting by himself at the end of it and isolated, we thought that that would even be a teachable moment with the next group, because wouldn't it be better if they'd included him instead of isolated him? But that was their voice, and that was their understanding of it, and even our understanding of it at the time. But we can do even better than that, and we can teach the kids to do that, and it's our responsibility to do that, and the parents and the administrators. So we have gone into schools here and in New York and other places and tried to reach the community and reach the administrators. And what is most important, I think, is that the parents and the administrators get behind it, and the students will follow. We're supposed to lead our kids. So in going to Eastmont and Wenatchee school districts and calling up Kashmir School District and saying, this is what we're doing, would you like to come and see what we have to say, and are you willing to have this program in your schools, and we'll do our best to help you fundraise? Every one of them said yes. So I think that says a lot about what we hope to have happen, and then what will follow in our future in terms of bringing this program and have it make a difference the way it is in other communities. So I just wanted to invite Garn Christensen. He is the superintendent of Eastmont Schools, and he's agreed to come and talk a little bit about what's happening in Eastmont Schools and why they're committing to the program.
This one?
Yep, and let it go green, and it's good to go.
I shared we have a item on the ballot here that I'll need to leave shortly. It's a big evening for Eastmont. Harassment, bullying, that's like talking about love and affection and family relations. Probably one of the most complex topics I think you could address in hopes of improving or changing. As I prepared for this, I think it's similar to Nancy. Almost every one of us has a story that we can talk about a bully who in our life did something that we found uncomfortable, that we found annoying, that hurt our feelings, They did various reactions that we didn't find positive influences. And in preparation, I thought of bullies I had experienced. And I could think of different people who teased me for various things. At the same time, I don't think there's a parent anywhere that tells their child in the morning, go out the door and do mean things to other children. I don't think that occurs. Or if it does, it's very, very rare. And most of those folks, we all know who they are. But as children grow up, they do things that many times we wish they wouldn't. I remember when I first heard the term harassment and bullying, I knew in my definition what it was, and I would explain to young people and to parents that, and unfortunately, people do experience offensive comments and rude things that happen to them. And I always felt like if it happened once, it was a rude, offensive comment. If it continued to occur, then you move down that path towards harassment and bullying. I can guarantee you that every day in this valley, there are thousands of comments made. Might be my knee, I'm not sure, touching something down here. From educators, from parents, from administrators saying, no, stop that. Is it a perfect solution? It doesn't appear to be, because we still have bullying and harassment. When I was a teenager, my father had a remedy, which was talk your way out of it, walk your way out of it, run away from it, and then he'd quietly add the last part, but if they ever catch you, beat them up so bad they'll never chase you again, which doesn't really work anymore in today's world. There's always consequences. But just as we're here today because Nancy managed to invent a tool that people around the globe are finding very helpful in the repair of, I understand, eyeglasses, what I see here is the origination of hopefully another tool or the development of a set of tools that can be used to help reduce and perhaps make bullying something that young people don't have to experience. I don't know if it's completely possible, but I absolutely do believe that you can definitely lessen it. I know that the idea of having students be the originators of these ideas is profound. I can share 3 quick experiences. If any of you are watching the Wenatchee media or YouTube and look up Eastmont and self-worth, you'll see a project that originated from some students last year that they really talked about what they found in their lives that was difficult, that was hard. They wrote one word on an arm or a body part and then photographed it. And within a month, we had thousands and thousands of views on YouTube. That wasn't a teacher originated. A teacher nodded and said, yeah, give it a go. And within 3 days, they were in the hundreds, and within a week, they were in the thousands. That was not an adult-led, guided, or directed activity, and it took off. If you've been in Eastmont recently, I got an email before I left, be prepared, there's a giant crane coming to the high school. We would not have been able to do our construction had it not been for a student-teacher developed video. When we got into that campaign, there was one called Rawhide, and they set it to the tune of Rawhide, and they had pictures of all the kids coming down the halls. It was so packed, and it was profound. I could go, and I did 30 community presentations, and all I had to say is, this is about the Rawhide video. And people went, oh yeah, we've seen that. It's great. And guess what? We passed. We hit 60%. That was pretty amazing. Also, we use radio ads. If you listen right now, we grab the iPhone, and we go up to somebody and say, what do you think about the Eastmont levy? I'll know here in about 15 minutes whether it passes. But that type of technology is what young people know and what they're comfortable with. And anything we can do to plant those seeds and give our young people more tools to prevent this is very valuable. We added, just like this young man helped originate in his community, a way for people to call in and share fears and concerns. There's a program out there that's available through regional schools called the Safe Schools Alert. And if you go on the Eastmont website, you'll see down in the bottom right-hand corner, you can anonymously report bullying, intimidation, harassment, adults or students. And we get referrals every month. And they come to us, and we act on them, and we document them. And there are actions taken, at least I know in the school districts that I'm aware of in the Valley, that range from, no, stop that. That is not helpful. That hurts other people's feelings, to students are arrested for harassment in this Valley. That is not uncommon. But I do know it continues. I do know it happens on buses, on classrooms. It happens on playgrounds. It happens on sports teams. I'm disappointed. If we'd been here to talk about football, we probably would have packed the room.
Yeah.
We're here to talk about harassment and bullying, and we've got some committed people adults that want to see some things change. We've got families that would like to see some things change, and I thank you for your time. Not only are you here for a worthy cause, you're sending a message to your own children that this is important and we need to stop this. So I hope we have better tools. I hope the next generation, the students that walk into our schools next week, next year, will have more tools. And if this project can help grow those, I'm happy to help. You're wading into some complex waters when you talk about involving schools and governments and school districts and how it's done and how it's not done. And I would just suggest go slow, but listen to the young people. They're going to have some of the best ideas, and I see that time and time again. So thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Next, the thing about Facebook and is just how wide the reach is, how long the reach is. And we started putting information about this program on Facebook a couple of months ago. And we get contacts, we get people who are emailing us asking questions. And Lori Van Lith is a friend of a friend of a friend in the family, and she has been for a long time. And it wasn't until this came up that we actually got to talk and connect on a level outside of that family friendship. And she contacted us and said, you know, I'm part of the Suicide Prevention Coalition, and we have this program that we're working on. And I heard about your program, and I thought, she said, well, I thought, wouldn't it be great if we could work together? And so I said, why don't you come and share a little bit about it? Certainly, it's a very serious topic, and they are doing their best to remedy that here in our community. So thank you, Lori, if you want to come up and share what you wanted to say here tonight. Oh, here you go. No. Oh, you don't have to, but there's one there with, okay, there you go.
Okay. Hi. Like Lisa said, I'm Lori Van Lith, and I'm a licensed mental health counselor, and I have a private practice in town. And my passion is working with adolescents and youth, children, adolescents. And so, as you all know, this community has been hit tremendously with a flood of suicides, and it's crazy, and numbers keep going up as we speak. So in this community, what we realize is we don't have a lot of connections in this community to understand where do people go, how do you get help, what do you do? And so we developed a coalition. It's a Suicide Prevention Coalition. And this coalition is really designed for several different reasons. One of the reasons is to really provide a mainstream of information where every single person in this room could go to one location and you could find out any information that you want, be it mental health help, how many, what we're doing with the suicides in this valley, what kind of help there is, what kind of education there is out there. So we're working really, really hard to get every single person in this whole community on board in one location. Another thing that we are doing is we are looking to train every single person in this community. The training would be on suicide. What are the risk factors? What are the symptoms? Because if every single one of us can learn what they are, we probably will stop walking by people and not looking them in the face and putting our head down and not giving people eye contact. And when you know someone's having a hard day, you don't want to ask, because if you ask, then you have to get involved. And you don't want to get involved because then you got to have the answers. And so we want to eliminate that, because we want everyone to be human beings to one another. And knowing risk factors, knowing symptoms can allow you and I at different levels to just connect and get the help that someone needs. So I really appreciate you taking this time to allow me to come speak, because bullying is not the only reason people commit suicide. It's one of many reasons people commit suicide. Mental health is another reason that a lot of people commit suicide, because they have mental health issues. So I love the bullying aspect because it has been a passion of mine since I was in school. I remember walking down the hallway and, thankfully I had a really good childhood. I had a lot of friends, but I also saw a lot of people get bullied. And I remember really having a hard time emotionally growing up because of that. And I remember thinking the people that were getting bullied, and it would crush me. And I feel like I did a good job, but that's now as an adult. I want to go out and empower people to stand up, to stand up and don't turn around, don't turn away if someone's getting bullied, and you're not the one, just because you get involved doesn't, and people feel like it puts a target on them. Well, I love what you said. If you take the behavior out of the people, they are just people, okay? If you take the behavior out of the bully, they're just people, and I love that. So when I heard about what Lisa and Nancy were doing, I got super excited, super excited. I think this is exactly what this community needs. Our teenagers, our youth, our children, they need a place to have a voice. And then our Suicide Prevention Coalition will stop getting all the numbers that we're seeing, right? Because we're all starting to respect one another. So I hope you guys, first of all, we need lots of volunteers for the Suicide Prevention Coalition. Volunteers meaning volunteers to get trained. The training is a very simple training, okay? It's a very simple training. You go through, it's literally less than an hour long to be trained. Dr. Rickard and I, she's on the Suicide Prevention Coalition, and her and I are going through a training right now that we are going to go into the schools, and Kashmir is going to be our first school. We're going into Kashmir elementary, middle school, and high school to teach them, train every student in that district on suicide. A part of that is bullying. So this all aligns together. So we need all of you to want to be trained, to want to get involved. So I have our website, I have our email address. If anybody's interested, I'd be happy to give it to you at the end for you guys to get involved. Love what you're doing. Are you the gentleman from Quincy? Awesome job. Awesome job. What an amazing opportunity. Yes. I love that kind of stuff because you guys are what makes the difference. You know, adults, we can do what we can do, but you guys make the difference. Wenatchee High School has something called the Interact Club. If anybody's associated with Wenatchee School District here, get involved in that club. They are absolutely amazing. They have raised $10,000 for for Suicide Prevention Coalition. Them high school students alone raised this money to benefit the suicide occurrences in our community. So you guys make a difference. You guys are amazing. So thank you for this opportunity. I really appreciate it.
Thanks. That's one of the things that we know from our research is if a bully is confronted, the bully will retreat. The bullying behavior, that child who's bullying will retreat within 10 seconds, 80% of the time. And it doesn't take a big, any kind of violent confrontation. It's just, hey, knock that off, like you saw here on the playground. So thank you, Lori, for coming and for sharing that. And we wanted to also invite Chet Harum to come up and speak on behalf of Wenatchee Schools. And Mr. Flonez, the superintendent, was also going to be here tonight, but he's still recovering from knee surgery. So we wanted to...
yeah, I think he would have preferred to be here.
Yes, probably so. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me, or do I need the microphone? You can hear me. Okay, good.
Okay.
Use the microphone. Oh, you are recording. Okay, so everything I say is going to be...
Anything you say in this building gets recorded.
Hello?
Careful.
Hello? Hello? Hello?
There you go.
There we go. I love this, having a microphone in front of me. I want to say, first of all, thank you, Lisa, and also Nancy, for doing this. This subject has been around for a long, long time, back when I was your age. You would think by now we'd get it licked, because I'm got all this gray hair for a reason. Been around for a while. I want to say, first of all, that what Eastmont has talked about in terms of what they're doing for policies and procedures, we're very, very similar. In fact, Garn and I share a lot in terms of this subject. We deal with a lot of the same strategies. We use a lot of the same community members and people to help us with this issue. We talk to a lot of the same families, even though we're across the river. So we do a lot together. And that's one thing. And Glenn is, Mr. Johnson, our superintendent from Kashmir, we all talk to each other because bullying doesn't stop when it crosses the river. It's regional. We all are so close in this area that we all know each other. And the kids know each other. They're with each other during the summer. They're with each other during activities. So it's important that we're all talking together about this. And it's also important that we're all pretty consistent about this. This is what I like about this project, because we're all working on it together. Even though each district is going to have their opportunity to do this, because you two are doing this together, makes it so it's a collaborative deal, which really is how we address this issue. You know, I was studying quite a few years. I was talking to Garn and Glenn earlier. Quite a few years ago, I was doing research on harassment, intimidation, and bullying in the workplace. So adults, I'm talking to you right now. Okay? Harassment, intimidation, and bullying in the workplace. And there was a North Carolina study that was done years and years ago. And it studied like 6,000 people that they surveyed and interviewed. And they said, how many of you in the workplace have been harassed, intimidated, or bullied in the workplace? What percentage do you think said, yeah, that was me. I got harassed, intimidated, and bullied? What do you think it was? Pretty high? Pretty high? Over 98%. Wow. Over 98%. Now, the interesting thing about that was the second question. How many of you actually participated in the harassment, intimidation, and bullying? Because that's a large percentage of people who've been bullied, right? How many of you actually did that? What do you suppose the percentage was?
60.
60, 20, 98? The answer was 2. So if that's true, there's one person out there bugging everybody. So this ought to be really easy to get to, right? So we just got to find that one bully out there and we'll take care of it. The point of that study was this, is that oftentimes, this is an important point, oftentimes when kids are being bullied and harassed, the person who's being the bully is not aware that that's actually what they're doing. And because we don't talk about it a lot, and kids are very, very intimidated to say, that hurt me. That I don't want to look vulnerable. It makes it very difficult to deal with. I look at the crowd tonight. I can tell you that I have spoke about harassment, intimidation, and bullying to many audiences for many years. It is a very important and very, it's out there. Should I say it's just out there. Why this room is not packed right now, the election is important. I understand that. But the election is kind of done, right? This room should be filled. With the number of people that I talk to year in and year out who have issues around harassment, intimidation, and bullying, I'm surprised that we're just not, this room should have not been big enough. So what you're hearing about this project, they're saying, well, how about we get this idea where we talk to the kids? And I want to say how important that is. We talk to adults and we say, okay, here's how we're going to handle harassment, intimidation, and bullying. The interesting thing is I've tried this experiment with different groups that I've gone to, and I've actually taken something from somebody who's sitting next. Can I just take your pop? I'm just going to take your pop, and I'll walk away. I say, okay, adult, how did you respond to that? What's going through your head right now? I just walked up to your table and just took, I'm sorry, I'm going to take that. How are you going to respond to that right now? And most adults say, well, first I'm going to try to figure out, why you did it. And probably not going to be too bothered by it. Might ask you about it. And we have reasoning skills. We have ways to try to think about this. If I did that to a child in a school, and another child did that to another child, they don't have that same reaction. They get fear. They feel like you're picking on me. Did anybody else notice that? There's all sorts of other reactions. And so when you talk to a child about their perspective about this, it's very different than an adult. Very, very different. And so what this project is going to allow the kids to do is to give us their perspective. Kids talking to other kids is very, very powerful. They hear us talking to them all the time. And this tool, like Garn said, this is a tool that will help us address this issue. Kids talking to other kids. Using a tool, which I have to tell you, is also a weapon. I've been doing this for a long time. This whole concept of cyberbullying is so vicious and is so easy to do and is so harmful. To use this tool to address it is going to be incredibly important. So I want to make that connection. Kids talking to kids using probably the most frequently used tool to harass and intimidate. This could be very, very powerful, and I hope it's catching. So anyway, I didn't want to say too much because I wanted to leave some time for Glenn too. But I just want to say again, thank you for doing this. I hope the people who are here, you get the word out, because this is really, really important. Thank you.
I think that since both Mr. Christensen and Mr. Harem have addressed and acknowledged, and Lori has acknowledged, that the room isn't as full as we'd hoped, I'll say that Nancy and I started a couple of months ago, PSAs on the radio, things in the newspaper, Facebook. I personally, with some help from some volunteers, distributed over 2,000 flyers to the schools, to the students in this community. And like driving to Seattle this morning or last night and coming here in time, that was the only day they could get us on before the event. We hoped somebody would see it at the 11 a.m. I only bring it up. It doesn't matter how many people are in this room today, because the thing about Nancy and I, and hopefully the people in this room, is we don't give up. So if you're willing to help us spread the word, if you go home tonight, depending on what your curfew on Facebook is or what your day is tomorrow, and you spread this word and you help us with that, then how many people in this room won't matter as much as how many people are affected by the people who are in this room. I just want to make that clear. Okay, so then, and then the next speaker I wanted to introduce is Glenn Johnson. He is the superintendent of Kashmir Schools. And we spoke by phone this week, and he was starting to hear about this. And we only started at Wenatchee and Eastmont because this is where we live. And now we just got an email from someone saying, how come we didn't know about this in Leavenworth? Well, there's no limits. You know, we can do this anywhere. Don't get upset. So we got in touch with Glenn Johnson, Mr. Johnson, and he was really eager to participate, and it's absolutely something they'll be doing in their schools as well. So we invited him to come and talk for a few minutes too.
I can't use a microphone, so I'm loud. So I'm hoping that that's okay. I'm probably getting recorded. Thanks for having me here tonight, and I'll be brief. I always write things down, and I never look at it, very rarely, because what I say I mean. And I want to say thanks, number one, for having the opportunity to be here. I truly believe, you know, education, you hear a lot about what's wrong with it, and there are a lot of things we can get better at, but I think I have the best job in the world. Every day in our district, we get to greet 1,500 kids walk through the door, just like these kids here, and every one of them have a gift. We may not always recognize like we should, but that gift is there. And we're so blessed to have that opportunity. And sometimes the challenges and all that get you down, but the glass is more than half full. I know we talk about the room not being as full, and that's true, but truly, one person at a time, we can make a difference, because this problem in bullying is at the heart of a lot of it, but it's multiple issues. I listened to Lori talk here. I'm glad you said that about suicide, because there are so many different layers that you hear, and I've learned about over the last year, that when a kid chooses, or an adult, or anybody chooses to take their life, which is just tragic, the reality is there's typically multiple obstacles that person runs into, and they don't know how to navigate it. They feel isolated. Depression, mental health, drugs and alcohol, bullying, they all just compile, and they get to a point where there's no escape. And we've learned a lot over the last year how you remove one obstacle at a time. They start getting those things. So we're really excited to have you there, just like we had Martin Schaffler and other people come present, because we've got to learn together. And a person once told me, there's a statement, autonomy versus excellence. Well, I use that a lot with our teachers, because we can never reach excellence if we work in isolation. If the teacher next door, or two teachers, never talk to each other and collaborate, you can never reach excellence. If our schools don't, within our system, don't talk, we can never reach excellence. I can talk till I'm blue in our district about bullying, and we can have every program from over the last year. Challenge Day, spent $20,000 in community resources and hundreds of people involved. Martin Schaffler coming in, Cindy Bolin, a national grief expert, anti-bullying. We have social media training next week with Canfield. All those programs are great, but it's not enough. If we don't partner with other people and not circle the wagons and shoot inward. We got to circle the wagons and represent kids and find solutions. And that's why we're all into this. I've only known about it for about 3 or 4 days, but we want to go a little bit deeper, kid by kid. Because when you start asking how they feel, if you ask a question, if you really knew me, you'd know, and they start answering that question, that's a tough question to ask because you may not like what you hear back. Kids are hurting right now. Kids are hurting right now, and there's a lot of factors of why they're hurting. And so you ask that question, and the reality is all the policies in the world don't always work because you can step outside. We can ban cell phones in school. They can text each other from 4 in the afternoon till 2 in the morning and continue it. I'm not saying that we're not at the heart of it. I'm saying, or part of it, we are a big part. But we got to partner, and that's why we got to be all in. And I want to tell you, anybody from here from Kashmir, or anytime you want to come visit the schools and talk about kids, we have to talk about kids. We have to get the kids' voice in it. And we're excited to do this. We're excited to have this this opportunity. I hope when you come out and do Wenatchee and East Wenatchee that we can join in and learn, like Chet said, or Mr. Harum, sorry, my elder statesman over there. We talk all the time. A lot of the kids that we're having, they're transferring and going in and out of the districts, and we can't work in isolation. You know, we did a lot of things on suicide last year and this year. And the reality is we talked about who are your 5 people you can turn to, you know, and what are the things we can do as friends and peers and adults. We're still learning, but it isn't enough, just us. And so we take our ownership, take a responsibility, and I want what's best. I have 3 kids now, 1 just graduated, 3 in the system, and I want it different for other kids than I want for my own kids. We want them to go attend school in a safe place, that every one of the kids are respected. If they have an issue and a problem, they can turn to somebody and feel good about themselves. That's what we want. That's a big challenge, and like Garn said earlier, it's a complex issue that's going to take a lot of solutions. So I choose to look at the glass half full, and that we're going to get better together. And whether it starts with a smaller group or not, by golly, that's going to work 1 kid at a time and 1 adult at a time. Because when we do it there, it's not the CAN program. After all the assemblies are done, what's the message, really, to get out change at a kid? Really at the heart of each kid. What makes this kid want to make a difference for other kids? How do we not just learn from the negative, but how do we learn from the positive and say, what made you do that? How do we learn from you? And we can replicate some things. So, like I said, I don't want to take up a lot of time, but if anybody ever has a question about our school system, what we're doing, and where our heart is, I'd be glad to talk. But I appreciate it, and we're looking forward to collaborating with the districts and you guys. So thank you.
Thank you. So I think that the message is kind of the same. I think we're pretty clear that everybody wants to work together to make a difference. We are open to answering your questions. We can do that as we mingle around. Are you coming up here? One of the things too that I keep hearing is talking about the kids' voices. And we've heard about peer pressure for years. And I think what we could start to do is make peer pressure a positive thing. Like the peers are pressured into participating and in standing up for each other. Because I don't think that there's an administrator, a teacher, or anyone that has as much power as students and their peers. And if it's not cool to do it, it's not going to happen. And that's one of the things that we try to say. So it's kind of like spreading that voice, that positive voice as well. I think as far as our program, we're wrapping up. Nancy, did you have a few things?
No, if anyone had any questions, we'd be happy to answer them. We're looking forward to you guys helping us expand the program and getting the word out there. I mean, it is our children, you know, they're ours. It's our responsibility to take care of them. And if we don't listen to them, we're never going to get to the heart of the problem. So we got to listen to our kids.
Does anyone have any questions?
Well, can you guys say how to be back in touch? I mean, is Facebook, how could they support it financially? How can they volunteer? I guess, how
Sure.
do we get back to
Well, we have our website, betteractionsnow.com, and that's also our Facebook page. That's a great way to be in touch. We have silent auction items, so if any of you haven't bid yet and still want to, we don't have any strict rules about when that's closing, you know, necessarily sometime in the next little bit here. And then we have, very casual here. And then we have, we are accepting donations. We have the wristbands. Wouldn't it be great if everyone went to school with one tomorrow? They're $1, and they all go back to this program. And they're back there. See, they're holding them up. They've been helping. So everything that we have here tonight is going back into Eastmont Wenatchee School Districts. If you feel compelled to make an additional donation, we have a donation page on our website. And and there's envelopes here that if you wanted to make a donation that way, you can do that. And just helping spread the word. But obviously the financial aspect of thing is always an issue in terms of getting things done in a school system. Always an issue. We have met with some schools that have a grant or two lying around that they can use for this program. Great for them. Not very common. So any help that you can give to your students, that would be great too. Do you have additional?
Well, just if everybody would like Facebook,
yes,
they would
like
be
our
able
page.
to then disseminate that information more easily to your group of friends. So that's the way to, exponentially spread the word. That would be great.
And we post regularly, and we are also going to be about to, at the end of this week or the beginning of next, we're going to the Ellen Show in January, and we are going because we have tickets, but we want to go and share our message when we're there. And we think if we can get this community behind it, then we can help spread the word. And I just think, too, part of why we wanted to do it here locally is I think it's important for us to launch here locally and have it be a huge success. And when I say locally, I don't mean just Eastmont and Wenatchee. I mean Quincy, I mean Kashmir, I mean Leavenworth, I mean here in this valley and in the surrounding areas. So that's how you'll find out about our Ellen campaign. And she was certainly bullied as a kid. She shared it on her show. And so, sometimes it's going to take getting on a plane to spread the word, but a lot of times it's just doing it right here in our community. So if you'll like our page, you'll be aware of the things that we're trying to do. Anything else? Yeah, great. But feel free to grab more food. Take it home. Feed your family, and then just feel free to stick around a little bit if you have any questions. We'll be here. Thank you very much.